F7, F8 fault experiment. F7 and F8 are the refrigerated room temperature controller and the frozen room temperature controller, respectively, which are abnormal and cannot work. Before performing the fault experiment, need to understand how the thermostat controls the operation of the equipment normally. Press and hold the return button in the lower left corner of the thermostat. Enter the settings interface. Click Enter. You can see that F01 is set to 10 degrees centigrade. Means that when 10 degrees centigrade, the entire device triggers operation. F02 is set to 0 degrees centigrade. When the temperature reaches below 0 degrees centigrade, the equipment stops running. When the temperature needs to be adjusted, downward to lower the temperature, upward to increase the temperature. After confirming the adjustment, click the Power button in the upper left corner to save the settings. At the same time, the two thermostats control the solenoid valve of the refrigerator condenser on the left side, below, and the solenoid valve behind the freezer condenser. When the temperature reaches 0 degrees centigrade, the solenoid valve is closed and the temperature rises. When it reaches 10 degrees centigrade, the solenoid valve triggers. When the freezer is minus 10 degrees centigrade, the solenoid valve is closed and triggered at 0 degrees centigrade. When the two temperatures meet the standard, the solenoid valve is disconnected and the compressor stops working. You need to wait for the temperature to reach the standard before manually starting the compressor operation. At the same time, a delay is set in the refrigerator. When the temperature rises from 0 degrees centigrade to 10 degrees centigrade, it needs to be delayed for a period of time before it can be started. Do not click the compressor start button at this time. If the compressor is started when the refrigeration solenoid valve is not opened, may cause the compressor to run abnormally and then overload and stop running. Next, let's take a look at the temperature conditions of the refrigerator and freezer under normal operation. Click the compressor start button. Compressor operation. At the same time, the temperature of the refrigerated room and the temperature of the frozen room drop after a long cooling process. In a stable state, the temperature of the refrigerated room is below 7 degrees centigrade, about 6.5 degrees centigrade. The freezing room temperature is below minus 5 degrees centigrade, about minus 5.1 degrees centigrade. This is the state of the entire normal operating state. Then the thermostat triggers to stop. Because the current setting is 10 to 0 degrees centigrade and 010, to keep it stable in this state all the time. If you want to trigger stop, you need to increase the lower limit of the thermostat. For example, you can adjust 0 to 10 degrees centigrade to 6 to 10 degrees centigrade. When it cools to 6 degrees centigrade, the solenoid valve will stop. In order to speed up the process, the lower limit will be adjusted to 7 degrees centigrade this time. The operating state of the solenoid valve is now on. When the temperature is confirmed to be lowered, the solenoid valve stops running. Similarly, adjust the lower limit of the freezer to -5 degrees centigrade. Both solenoid valves are closed, and the compressor stops running at this time. When the temperature of the refrigerated room reaches 10 degrees centigrade, and the temperature of the refrigerated room reaches 0 degrees centigrade, two solenoid valves can be opened. At the same time, there is a delay in refrigeration, so you need to wait for a while to open it. Now adjust the temperature back to the initial setting. You can see that the temperature of the freezer is already above 0 degrees centigrade at this time. Click on the solenoid valve. The temperature should be stable above 0 degrees centigrade. You can see that clicking on the solenoid valve has no effect. Need to wait for a while to run. At this time, click on the compressor for protection. When the solenoid valve is not opened, the compressor cannot be started. Next, the temperature control full simulation. Experiments of F7 and F8 are carried out. Enter the full simulation button interface. Enter password 1111. Click the F7 button and the fault indicator lights up. You can see that the thermostat fails. Back to main page. In the failed state of the thermostat, click the compressor operation button. The compressor cannot run. Back to the fault interface. Reset F7 fault button. The thermostat lights up normally. Similarly, click the F8 fault button. The freezer temperature controller fails and cannot run. Reset the F8 fault button, the thermostat shows normal.